Okay, this one will be about something I always wanted to correlate, mainly the Herculean 12 labors and models of initiation. Let's quickly switch to English. The labors of Heracles as planetary zodiacal initiations, a model of mystagogy, the alchemy of the Heraclean labors with an exemplary ritual I performed last year, dedicated to the masters and maestras of the Caduceus, who illumined the day and night skies, ensuring that we never surrender, descending to this earth from their stations in the stars and planetary spheres above in great autophaneas visible to the few who shed the veils of Isis, even if a bit of them. To those who are ready to wield the Heraclean club, conquering inner and outer labors. Just as the Homeric Odyssey is a sacred text allegorizing the soul's journey towards Penelope and individualized eros, philia, and agape in the Hecatic humane anima mundi, this was rather clear in the superstructure of Hellenistic beliefs and theologies. Today we perceive it rather as an epic of adventures that does not lead into such psychagogic, mystagogic, and instructive dimensions. It is the Neoplatonic Porphyry Attestus in the Cave of the Nymph, the Antronympharum, perhaps a Neoplatonic reinterpretation of the Odyssey. However, my deeply shared conviction is that every ancient epic text points to a heroic journey of gigantomachia of mind and soul against the Tartarism or bestiality and the pool of nothingness that appears on every magical, mystagogic, and alchemical path. Myth was for teething children, like the Neoplatonic Emperor Julian Autocraton once claimed. But those who can read beyond it, armed with advanced theology and pagan heathen philosophy, discover a multitude of wonders of profound forces and powers in their constant interaction, giving the spectacle at least some humane dimension. As I once walked deeply depressed down one of Warsaw streets when I still lived there, impoverished and deeply in debt, I saw Athena as a blue, yellow, and silver ephemeral statue as tall as a skyscraper towering over the city. And between tears and powerful affirmation I felt recognized by her as a mortal following the path of the gods, as a small mystes devoted to his gods. Perhaps some comprehensible wisdom, a clarity for which I had struggled for years, which I had sometimes lost in great stupidity, ignorance, vileness, and vulgarity. Despite all that, I fought, and I received a silent, polite politeia nod from that power, that force that had monolithized in that old yet timeless goddess whose statue once stood in the Parthenon in Athens. How many times at night have I seen winged caduceuses as symbols and emblems of the masters and maestras? They were golden wreaths of laurels. We have ascended and who constantly call upon those few, with hidden symbols upon the night sky, with great walks who have not drowned in the matter and labyrinth of everyday earthly affairs, who have not cut the Ariadne's thread. In fact, the winged caduceus has 7 knots. They represent the achievement of those heroic individuals who somehow correlated their lives with the great works of the Chaldean planet, as known in antiquity, belonging to the ancient path of the Eleusinian mysteries, Heracles being the golden standard revered in both Greece and Rome as an Eleusinian mystes. It was Hercules who embodied the path of the mystagogic archetype, which is the ontological experience that re-deifies the soul to her heroic status, the one who remembers. For according to the Orphic golden tablets, the heroes, heroi, were those who remember, mnemosne, the truth, aletheia. For aletheia was the memory of truth that does not fade into oblivion, lete being forgetfulness, and the heroic path is the right-hand fork in the Pythagorean Y-turn, the path towards the gods. How then should we read the walks? As true events? Do we really need to defeat the Nemean lion or cleanse the Augeas stables? Or perhaps as a metapoetic alchemization of the struggles and wars of the soul and heart, of the fighting Keper, which somehow correlates with the natures of powers and forces, incarnating their ethos and the coloring of their deified qualities. It would be wonderful if the walk, in addition to its esoteric or internal dimension, also had an exoteric active in the world dimension, especially in today's politics and society. if only to cleanse the augeas stables of idiotes, at Greek for unwise, and so it does. For often esoteric struggles creates an exoteric byproduct in the world, external. The heroic spirit cannot be silenced from acting in the world, it can however be inhibited, obscured, held back, ruined, and compromised in acting outside, but its spirit remains intact, it's immortal and undefeated. I remain with the best wishes for young heroes to charge to the world with wisdom, distinction, discernment, and affirmation of life. According to Manilius, Aquarius was associated with Hera, Pisces with Poseidon, Aries with Athena, Taurus with Aphrodite, Gemini with Apollo, Cancer with Mercury, Leo with Zeus, Virgo with Demeter, Libra with Hephaestus, Scorpio with Ares, Sagittarius with Artemis, Capricorn with Hestia. Within this system established by Neoplatonists, each of the Olympians, timeless, had its own place and was divided into the following walks: creative, Zeon, Poseidon, Hephaestus; life-giving, Demeter, Hera, Artemis; protective, Hestia, Athena, Ares; harmonizing, elevating the soul towards the divine cosmic spectacle, Hermes, Aphrodite, Apollo. Out of which Hestia, or Vesta, was the most important in the 12 zodiacal gods' layout and goddesses. The domicile of the planets in Hellenic astrology are as follows: the Sun, Leo, Zeus, the creative; Moon, Cancer, Hermes, the harmonizer; Mercury, or Virgo and Gemini, Demeter, Apollo, the life-giving harmonizing factor; Venus, Libra, Aries, Hephaestus, Athena, creator, protector; Mars, Scorpio, Taurus, Ares, Aphrodite, protecting, harmonizing; Jupiter, Sagittarius, Pisces, Artemis, Poseidon, life-giving, creative; Saturn, Capricorn, Aquarius, Hestia, Hera, the protective or life-giving. So each one of those luminaries and planets was enlightening the zodiacal goals in their proper stations. When did Heracles' labors begin and end? A clue is provided by the festival in his honor, celebrated in the month of Metageitnion. During the season of the Virgin, roughly after the completion of the Hekatombeon in early August. I propose correlating Hercules' labors according to these guidelines. I haven't done so here due to sketchy nature of this post. However, I leave others to pursue this path if they wish. I've logged about 15,000 hours of ritual, ceremony, and meditation in various traditions, syncretic but deeply researching them and loving and knowing them, though lately I've been devoting myself to them less and less. I'm not resting on my laurels, but I need to reorganize my life to stay on its path and surface. Committed to ritualism, on July the 6th, 2024, I created or recreated the ceremony at the Hekatombeon with the first lunar crescent, with the following procedure: offering of bread to Sin, cleansing with salt and iron, Sin as the Ehulhul, lunar god of ancient Sumeria. The sunset was at 8:45 p.m. Lublin, or a village that I lived in nearby Lublin, Central European time. Pluto was conjunct with Altair at 7° Capricorn. Ritualism, ceremonies, ceremonial magic. Apart from street magic, it begins at sunset. It did. The first visible waxing light of the Cancer moon, Hekatombeon, July 2024. A torch, a flaming torch, was lit for the dead and black souls to attract them and invoke them in a necromantic ritual. The festival on July the 6th was dedicated to Selene and Apollo as Numenia, the new month celebration, an appeal to Magna Mater Kybele, Magna Mater, that is the mother of gods, the mother of stars, or Nave for facilitation. The goal was to release shadows and souls into Capricorn with the Selene Apollon festival as an epopteion, without the Hierophantides, an invocation to the weekend Mars that rules Almutens Muldi at the Saturnian syzygy. Repetition of Neria Ares operation. Invocation of the messenger Ares, appeal to Ishtar, Salian dance in honor of Neria. I once performed a ceremony with the girl whom I trained for this specific operation, and was highly successful as she was spitting fire from her eyes, seen by her and experienced by her as Neria, and as the armor of Ares was felt on my chest. The request later was to free the dead from the burden of the sphere of Aphrodite genetrics of the world and nature, especially in dead zones of Thanatos, to lift them up to the stars. Appealing to Isis Sirius, the incarnate soul of the Hieros or Isis star, for the protection of their passages throughout the stars. The Orphic hymns were used, the ones to Selene and Apollo. The tables of the gods were checked and incorporated into the rite accordingly, symbolizing the severing of earthly bonds by sickles. It began at sunset with the first visible light of the waxing moon in Cancer, according to Hecatombeion description when it began. The Hecatombeion could be divided in the following. I won't read it all. However, the appropriate timestamps using my own Renaissance cryptographic technique were developed, including Isopsephe. I wrote a program for that. It is in a different place of this website. It's on GitHub. Used during the facilitation of the rite and liberation. This was the seal of the hour that was developed using the cryptographic technique on 7 wheels displaced by 7 from alpha to omega. And as I mentioned, the purpose of the ritual was to gather as many shadows, Skia, Eidola, Erinia of the dead, as possible, the component of necromancy, and commend them to the gods by dispatching them to the constellation of Altair, the eagle. That was the theurgic component. The ritual was highly successful. Not only I felt a great holy relief, but also I've seen the black shadows moving towards this particular constellation. It was doubled by a flock of dozens of crows that arose at the ending of the ritual during the night, heading towards this particular constellation. Thank you.